Hi everybody, Eugene here with Darkroom Software. In this quick video, we are going to get back to basics. And what we're going to try to do is cover things that you might have just forgotten about or didn't think about whenever you first started using the software, and just make sure those things are all covered. In this video, we are going to have 10 steps that you can add to ensure every event is a successful event. Let's go ahead and jump right in and start with the first step. That is know your license code. When you purchased your software, you would have received an 18-digit license code. If you purchased it from our website, the code is good for 2 computers. If you got it from a dealer, typically that's only good for 1 computer. But if you purchased it from our website, what we recommend is installing on another computer and keeping that computer as a backup just in case you have any major malfunctions with the computer itself. You have another computer ready to go just in case. So we'll go ahead and type in the license code, and I'm going to use 123 for the password just to keep it simple. I don't recommend that password, but one thing I do recommend is using the same password if you have multiple booths. And the reason for that is the password's really just used to reveal the license code if you forget it or which code is on which computer. We'll go over a few other steps to help avoid those type of issues. You do want to make sure that email address is correct and try to use the same email address for every activation, because you can also use the lookup tool to retrieve your license codes and what computer they're on, and also the maintenance plan. We'll cover that in just a moment as well. Okay, we'll activate it. And like I said earlier, the password's used to retrieve the code from a computer. If you forget what code is on the computer you're currently on, we can type in the password and then click return license. It won't actually return it, it'll reveal the license code, and then we can go ahead and say no, keep it on this computer. So that is helpful to view your license code. But one thing I suggest is making a little label with the license code and the computer name and attach it to the actual computer. That way, if the computer fails, if it's unable to load, you're able to see the computer name and the license code for that computer. So that's another little trick. Okay, so that brings us to our second step. Understanding the maintenance plan and knowing the end date of the maintenance plan. Your maintenance plan covers updates, also covers Darkroom phone, Darkroom email, and a few other things. But making sure that your maintenance plan is current is a very good idea. If you install an update when your maintenance plan has expired, then it will ask you to renew your maintenance plan. Otherwise, you have to roll back to a version that was released before the plan expired. So you always want to try to keep that maintenance plan up to date, or not install an update until you're ready to renew that maintenance plan. It's $95 a year, or if it expires for more than a year, it goes to $195. So that's just something to keep in mind. But in my computer, under System Info, I can see that the maintenance plan expires March 8th of 2026. So I'm good for updates until then. I can add an additional year before that plan expires, so I know that I'm covered, and it's just going to add a year to that end date. It's not going to be a year from today, but it would tack on an additional year. So that's always a good idea. Before it expires, make sure you renew it so you don't have to worry about it, because that is tied to Darkroom phone. So email or phone might not function if your plan expires and you kind of forget about it. It's a good idea to maybe make a note, renew all your maintenance plans as a yearly thing, so that you don't have to worry about it. Also, if you go to darkroomsupport.com and click on the button to look up your license code, you can type in the email that you use to register your license code, and then it will send you an email with a list of all of your codes plus the maintenance end date, so it's easier to keep track of those and make sure you keep them all up to date. So that brings us to step number 3. Maintaining your disk space, making sure that you have enough space on the computer to actually add files to it as the camera captures images. This is one thing that I didn't think we'd have to cover as much as we do, but you have to have space on your computer to add images, and we get calls all the time. My computer stopped working, Darkroom crashes, and that's because there's not any space on the computer down to megabytes. And so if you have a smaller hard drive, make sure you keep an eye on it. It's better to have a larger hard drive and not have to worry about it. Right now, I'm looking at my computer here. I have 323 gigs. Try to keep 10% at least. So if you have a 100 or 200 gig hard drive, make sure you keep an eye on that. Otherwise, you can run into some major issues, not only with Darkroom, but with Windows just not working. As you run out of space, things start to fail. So, and then from Darkroom's end, one thing you can run into is a corrupt license that it's trying to write to the license code, and there's not enough space to even do that, which should be very small. So that is step number 3. Hopefully that's not an issue for most people, but if it is for you, maybe think about upgrading the hard drive or the computer and having a larger hard drive so you don't have to worry about it. Okay, step 4, for every event, creating a new event. Now, every so often we'll come across a customer that's been using the software for a year or so, and they've been using the exact same event over and over. The software is intended that if you create a new event, I'm going to create one here, and let's just say it's for my birthday. It's going to take the same settings of the selected event and apply it to the new event. And then at that point, I can go and update the template and make the settings for that specific event. Now, one thing that you can keep in mind is if you create the perfect, let's say, wedding event, and you want to save that as a template, you can go ahead and do that. Let's say you have all the settings correct, and you just wanted to save this as kind of like a master event that you go to select and create a new event from. So what we can do is, we'll say it's wedding master, and that's the one that you then select and create a new event from each time you have wedding, and then maybe you have one for birthdays and one for New Year's. But you get the idea. The important thing is that you create a new event for every new event, and then once you're done with it, this takes us back to maintaining your disk space. If you don't need it in the computer anymore, save your files to another computer, deliver them to the customer. Once you're done, then remove the event, and that will help keep a clean house in your event list. That's something I see quite a bit, is just a huge list of different events, and they're all still in there with the images taking up space. So when you're done, remove the event. It'll ask you if you want to remove the pictures and data as well, and go ahead and remove that. And that is step 4, creating a new event for every event. Step 5 is having backup equipment. What that means is USB cables. Have an extra one at least of every cable that you might need. One might get pinched, it might just become old or fray. Having a backup camera that you take with you. I'll tell you an example. I was at an event and there were people drinking a little bit too much at a corporate party, and one camera was damaged and the little port, it would not connect anymore. I was able to just swap it out with a backup DSLR and continue the event. But even if you don't want to carry a backup mirrorless or DSLR camera, take a webcam at least. Backup computers. And I know a lot of you don't want to hear this, but taking a backup printer is pretty important too. I was at an event, I'm from Central Texas area, but I was doing an event in Ohio, and one of the printers was damaged in shipping, and luckily I had another printer, exact same model. I was able to then take the media, put in that, and continue the job without having to overnight a printer or worry about any of that. So having a backup of everything is important, but having a backup plan if that fails. Make sure you have something in place for you or your employees, that they know what to do in the case of a major failure on hardware. So step 6, test with the equipment that you're going to use. If I am going to use this camera, then whenever I'm setting up the event and I'm testing it, I'm using this camera. I'm not using the webcam attached to my laptop or my Surface Pro. And then whenever I get there, I forget that I didn't bring a cable or the white balance is off. So testing with the actual equipment will help you troubleshoot those issues that you might run into at the event before you get to the event. So printer, camera, too often we hear that I tested everything was working fine, I just didn't print, and then at the event the wrong media is in the printer. They set up for a 2x6 and it has 5x7 media. So make sure that you test and make sure everything's working before you get to the event. Okay, so we're getting to step 7. That is know your equipment. So I have multiple cameras. Ones I use for just photography, and others I use for photo booths. I don't recommend taking your DSLR and then shooting family portraits with that camera, because it can cause some issues whenever you get back to the photo booth. But if you have a backup camera, take that out, take some family pictures, learn the camera, learn the printer, your computer, actually use it outside of the photo booth so that if you run into an issue, you know how to fix it. But do keep in mind, if you take your photo booth camera and you do family pictures, I see this pretty often, that somebody will change to RAW or change a camera setting and not know how to change it back. So the idea is to learn how the equipment works, so you're better troubleshooting issues. You don't want to cause more issues for yourself. So try to use backup equipment rather than the equipment you typically use, and then make sure you set it back so that it works when you need it to. Okay, so step 8. We're talking about having redundancy, saving your images so that they're available when you need them. So when you create an event, it's always a good idea to have save output and copy originals checked. And we'll create a folder and we'll just call it save for now. So I want to make sure that I select that folder for both, and it's going to save to that. And we're going to talk about in just a second other options, but there at least the images are saved to that folder. They're going to be backed up as they're captured. It's making a duplicate copy, so when you're done with it, make sure you delete it so you're maintaining your space. But let's say you have a flash drive, and I've seen quite a few people that have tried doing this, that they'll plug a flash drive in, and then what they'll want to do is then set the images to save to that flash drive, and then run into an issue. So I don't really recommend saving to a flash drive. I'm going to show you a workaround that you can do, is save it to the folder on a flash drive rather than directly to the drive. So now I go to my F drive and I can select that folder. Now the reason why I don't recommend this is if there is some sort of issue with formatting on that drive, you might get errors and you don't know what's going on. So that's why it's typically better to save to a folder on the computer and then move it. But this is a good way to have an instant backup of the images that are not on the computer, saving to a flash drive. But make sure you create that folder on the drive rather than going directly to the drive. And the better option, I think, if you have an internet connection, save to a folder that's synced to the cloud. So as it saves to the output images save, they're then uploaded to the cloud, so they're available instantly from the cloud. This takes us to step number 9. Keep it simple. Don't work with outside of your abilities. Make sure if you promise something to somebody, you're able to do that. A lot of times there's a whole list of things that are possible with Darkroom. Let's say you want to do green screen and you want to do GIFs and you want to do a mirror booth, and all of a sudden Darkroom can do all of those things, but sometimes they conflict. So before you say you can do something, make sure you know how to do it. It's better to under promise and over deliver. Okay, for step 10, expand your knowledge. Learn something new about Darkroom today, this week. When you have time, visit the Help Center or YouTube. But one thing to keep in mind, a lot of people are going to watch, we're going to have these conversations on YouTube. But you might be missing out on a lot. If you go to the Help Center here, there's a lot of times documentation, step-by-step guides, screenshots, sample templates that are free to download and use. So one thing you want to keep in mind is if you're only watching videos on YouTube, check out the Help Center. You can get to the Help Center at darkroomsupport.com, and there's a whole bunch of resources there. For those of you that are watching content or getting it only from the Help Center, one thing to keep in mind is these videos are linked or they're embedded, and if you try watching it, some of these this information is lower quality, so you might not be able to see or read. So if you're having problems following along, you can enlarge it here, but what I would recommend is actually watch it on YouTube. And when you do that, you have the ability, it'll auto adjust for the best playback, but they should all be 1080 or higher. So if you're having problems seeing detail, watch it on YouTube and make sure the quality is set to the highest quality. Okay, so that does it for the Back to Basics 10 Steps to Success. In the future, I'm going to try to do, as our kids are going back to school, do Back to Basics cameras and computers, printers, lighting, those type of things. So hopefully this becomes a series of other videos that are helpful. For this one, I know it was a basics video. Hopefully some of our more advanced users saw one thing that they can take from it, or a couple things, and say, yes, I know I should be doing it. I'm going to do this to better protect my customers, myself. If you're already following all those steps, or you already have workflows in place, even better. But for those newer users, it's a good idea to try to build these foundations. I don't mean to be too preachy, but make sure you try to do things to better protect yourself and your customers. And then one other call to action for our users that, let's say you purchased a photo booth and maybe COVID hit and it's just been sitting in storage, or you haven't used it in a while. This is for you. I know you watch the videos and have every intention of bringing it back out. Today's the day. Pull it back out. Test it out. Play with it. Photo booths are supposed to be fun. You bought it for a reason. I believe in you. Believe in yourself. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.